Brazilian economy has been in dire straits. The government does not want to raise taxes to pay for services that have been keeping many Brazilians afloat, so they are turning to exports and tourism for revenue. The plan is to allow development of over 4,000 hectares of the Amazon rainforest. Environmentalists and scientists around the world are furious. Nations are looking to the U.S. for leadership in response to the proposal, since the U.S. and Brazil have bilateral trade treaties which the U.S. could use as collateral. There are many American interests regarding this situation. From an economic standpoint, it would be wise to keep Brazil in our good graces and to help them reach economic stability. As of December 2013, Brazil is in our top 10 trading partners, coming in at number 9. Furthermore, the U.S. and Brazil have bilateral trading treaties. All in all, it would be in the U.S.'s interest to help Brazil's economy to ensure ample trade for the U.S. The Department of Health and Human Services believes our main interest in the Brazilian Amazon rainforest is connected to two ideas: medicine and air pollution. The Amazon rainforest provides the planet with 20% of its oxygen. The environmental drawbacks and the human health issues that will develop because of the destruction will be detrimental. Many modern plant-based medicines are derived from the Amazon rainforest. Over 120 modern medicines come from plant-based sources, and 70% of the 3,000 plants that are identified by the U.S. National Cancer Institute as cancer-fighting cells are found in the rainforest.
Here's what the State Department has to say on the situation. Right now, the United States of America and Brazil have good relations through strong bilateral trading ties. The two governments are currently working together on several projects to improve trade and to protect the environment. Experts are saying that if we keep cutting away at the Amazon at the rate we have been, we will soon reach a point of no return which would be devastating to the entire global environment. It is far too dangerous to allow such a plan to go through, and with our strong ties with Brazil, we have the power to save the Amazon while still improving the struggling economy in Brazil.
From an environmental standpoint, our two main interests in the rainforest lie with our worldwide leadership role in environmental protection and the harsh repercussions that deforestation will have on the U.S. itself. Through the use of climate simulation, studies have found that Amazon deforestation will lead specifically to food and water shortages in the U.S., as well as possible droughts for western states. On a global scale, changing the forest structures can change weather patterns, the climate, and carbon and water cycles, which can be both an economic and environmental problem. The United States has the resources to stop this from happening, and as a leader in worldwide environmental protection, it is our duty to stop this from happening.
Now we'll hear from different members of the President's Cabinet on this situation. Now speaking on behalf of the Department of Commerce, Secretary Penny Pritzker.
Mr. President, as Secretary of Commerce, I suggest that we fund the Brazilian government to aid their economic crisis. This will give them a boost in their economy, which they can follow up with a raise in taxes, but not as high as they originally planned. This can prevent the destruction of the rainforest, as well as keep the economy on its feet. There are several ways this could play out, one being the Brazilian government's rejection of our funding. We have to offer up our help in a way that does not insinuate pity or that we expect something in return. The key to success in this situation is maintaining frequent contact with the Brazilian government so that no one country is dominating the negotiation process. As Secretary of Commerce, I feel it is important to aid our trading partners, even if they are not in our top 5. Building good relations with Brazil will help us in the future, both politically and economically. According to Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution, Congress holds the power to regulate commerce with foreign nations. This means that we will have to propose a bill to Congress suggesting how much money we should provide in funding for the Brazilian government. Keeping in mind the needs of our own nation, this amount must not be too much, but needs to be enough in order to help get the Brazilian government back on its feet. In agreement with the EPA, preservation of the Amazon rainforest is in the United States' best interest economy-wise. The rainforest provides Brazil with ample resources that they can in turn trade with us. As the U.S.-Brazil relationship strengthens, we are looking to base our cooperation on strong and dynamic private sectors, a commitment to open and fair trade, and continued economic and energy integration. This means continuing our trade with Brazil and helping to preserve their resources through the protection of the rainforest benefits both us and Brazil. Economically, it is part of our duty in the partnership to aid Brazil so that we can further strengthen the growing bond we have with them. In conclusion, the Department of Commerce and I are in agreement that we should fund the Brazilian government to help stabilize the economy. This can lead into the imposition of a light tax to further boost their economy, while strengthening relations amongst the U.S. and Brazil. In addition, the preservation of the rainforest will not only benefit Brazil culturally and economically, but it will benefit the U.S. in terms of trade and economic gain. Thank you.
Speaking on behalf of the EPA, Administrator Gina McCarthy.
Mr. President, as Administrator to the Environmental Protection Agency, I suggest that the United States government lends money to the Brazilian Environmental Protection Agency so that they are able to carry out their own protection. Brazil has multiple laws that have been passed that are meant ideally to slow Amazon deforestation and encourage the sustainable use of the forest. The main reason that this progress isn't occurring is because currently IBAMA, Brazil's Environmental Protection Agency, is incredibly underfunded. They are currently unable to effectively enforce existing laws due to lack of resources, and we have the ability to help. At the EPA, it is our duty to make sure that all parts of society have access to accurate information sufficient to effectively participate in managing human health and environmental risks. As Administrator to the EPA, I also propose that we spread more awareness about this tragedy through the use of media. We believe that protecting the environment is everybody's responsibility, and it starts with understanding the issues. I represent the entire EPA when I say that by using the power of the people, power of knowledge, and the growing popularity of the Green Movement, we can truly make a difference. According to the oath of office, the President of the United States has a duty to protect his people and his country. In the long run, the destruction of the Amazon rainforest will be detrimental to the U.S. in all aspects of society, particularly environmentally.
Now speaking on behalf of the Department of Health and Human Services, Secretary Kathleen Sebelius. Mr. President, action must be taken to prevent the destruction of the Amazon rainforest. One way to boost the economy in Brazil is through your constitutional powers as chief diplomat. If you, Mr. President, were to use your influence as chief diplomat of the United States to back the country of Brazil for the hosting of a major international event, such as the World Cup or the Olympics, you would not only prevent the destruction of the Amazon rainforest, but help the country of Brazil with their economic issues. The international event would bring in so much revenue through tourism that the need to develop the Amazon rainforest for economic gain would be unnecessary. This would be viewed as an open attempt to protect the rainforest. Since the protection of the rainforest is very important for many different people around the world, this would be a political benefit to you as well. Another way to prevent the destruction is through direct funding. Economic aid to the Brazilian government would help strengthen their economic and further strengthen the relationship between our two countries. Through Congress's power to regulate commerce and trade with foreign countries, Article 1, Section 8, a bill would be developed to provide economic aid. There's too much at risk to the destruction of the rainforest. Through economic aid from the U.S., the Brazilian government would be strengthened, and the resources, natural services, medicines, and international relations would be protected.
Speaking on behalf of the State Department, Secretary John Kerry.
Mr. President, after consulting me with the task to create solutions for the crisis with the Brazilian Amazon rainforest and Brazilian economy, I have come up with a few ways of solving this issue. One way would be to somewhat assert our leverage that we have from our trading ties and threaten to impose trade sanctions upon Brazil. Right now, the United States is trading billions in imports and exports with Brazil. This gives us a lot of leverage to impose our will on the situation at hand. One way we could make sure that the Brazilian government does not further damage the Amazon would be to threaten to severely slow our trade. Mr. President, I believe it would be a good idea to use your ordinance power and threaten to slow trade sanctions with the Brazilian government if they do not meet our demands of protecting the endangered rainforest. Another option, which is right at hand, would be to use your executive power and convince the Brazilian government to hold off on taking action to try and improve the economy until the World Cup occurs. The Brazilian Institute of Tourism expects 600,000 tourists to come to Brazil and spend approximately $2.6 billion, while the 3 million Brazilians estimated to attend will spend about $7.9 billion. This would be more than enough to kickstart the economy and get it back in shape, but if Brazil is still tempted to use a plan that involves further damaging the Amazon, then I believe it would be also a good idea to offer to highly promote American tourism to the World Cup.
You done?
Yeah.
The choice is yours, Mr. President.